Hey guys, today I'm finally looking at Helldivers 2. I know I've finally gotten around to playing it, but wow, it's really, really fun. I think it's kind of a shame that Sony, I'm not entirely sure what happened, but Sony essentially bought the IP or the rights to this game, essentially, and now it's only on PlayStation or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, no, I'm really, really a big fan of it. I see why it's so fun. Like, this is like, it is such a well crafted and coordinated game. And that's mainly because, I don't know, it takes all the best elements of every multiplayer game I've ever played and just makes it really, really streamlined. So for example, things like, by default, your options are that your mic is open for chat. So it encourages people to be social. You basically have almost a Gears of War like setup where you have a primary weapon, sub-weapon, grenades. What was it? And like a third, backup, power weapon essentially. And so what's really cool is that, okay, yes, you can kind of go to cover, you can, dodge things. The combat feels very realistic, the way that, the bullets kind of go over your head and hit you. It feels very, very intense. Like, even if the bullets aren't hitting you, they're whizzing by you, they're causing damage to the environment, everything's reacting. This game is the game that we've kind of been waiting for. I don't know, in terms of multiplayer context. There's so many games that just are focused on loot crates and, recycling things, and it's just so garbage and so whatever. But this scenario and what they do is really just so well done. It's just really incredible. And that's another thing, the graphics, the environments. Remember when I got off the ship and I looked at the surrounding scenery, it was amazing. It just felt like this beautiful world, and the graphics really are stunning. Like, they're just really good, and that's not even, of course, the best part of this game. It's the actual gameplay, of course. What's also really cool is that also it's a highly multiplayer game, and that, look, you can go and play the map alone however you want, but random people will just join your map. Like, you don't have the option. I mean, I guess you can go into the options and turn it off, but by default it's like people will automatically join you. And so it's just like, they have it in the context of almost a single player experience, but you can just add people to that single player experience. So it's like Dark Souls if people were just dropping in to help you. So it's all highly cooperative, and that's why, I don't know, you're very open to other people joining, because they're only going to help you on your quest. And so the main missions are, usually you have to get to an outpost and take it out, or do something else, or, bust open some kind of thing. And, there's all these little outposts and objectives along the map, and it just, you can't take them all out on your own. So when you have 4 people with you, or 3 other people with you, it's actually very doable. And what's also really fun about this kind of context, this kind of game, is that people automatically or inherently know what to do. There's no way that someone can really screw you over unless they do friendly fire, which is enabled, which is hilarious. So yeah, and people call in these huge, aerial drops and lasers and things, and blows everything up. And if you're not careful, it can kill all your teammates, and it's very funny. And again, another really fun thing that's really, really smart, which I hate about battle royales, is that you basically have one life, and in here you have 5 to 10 lives depending on the map, and you die and you just immediately respawn. So there is a penalty that you have a limited number of respawns, but it's not like you have to wait 5 or 10 or 20 minutes to get back into a match. You kind of get a feel for, okay, this is how it works, this is what the deal is. And of course you have things like, healing and emotes and, comm links. And again, all of them are super useful, very kind of streamlined, straightforward. They all make sense, positive, negative, sorry, thank you. This is a really amazingly well-made multiplayer game. And it could even be a single-player game, frankly, but they turned it multiplayer, which is just, again, amazing. If there's one thing this game actually reminds me of, it would be actually Star Wars Battlefront 2. Just the the scope of the missions, the battles, how the kinds of enemy types there are. There's enemies that are very fast and melee focused. There are kind of mid-sized enemies that have weapons, and then there's ones with heavy artillery, and then there's the berserkers with huge armor that only weak spot is on the back. And so you just have this really cool array of just all these enemies. It feels like a Muso almost. You can mow down like Dynasty Warriors. You have all these enemies you can just keep fighting and mowing down and destroying. But you have to always be careful because you can get easily overwhelmed or ambushed, and it's really, really difficult to come out of that. And you really have to be very careful about the engagements you make. But again, whenever you have someone show up and join you, it feels, again, just really, really, really good when someone just shows up and says, "Oh, don't worry, man, I'll help you." Because, of course, every time you take in an outpost, not only do you get points, but the other person also gets points. So it's in their interest to destroy as many outposts as possible and to help you out. So basically, everyone benefits, essentially, by helping each other out. There's no downside, and so that's like a perfect multiplayer experience for me. It's like, even if you do the objective or do your own thing, you still make your own progress. And I think this is what people have talked a lot about, or what people imagine, what I imagined back in the day, is to have a single player experience where I'm going through a story or some kind of scenario, but I just want someone to join me. Like, what if Skyrim was multiplayer? I keep my progress, I keep my whatever, but other people can just join me on my journey and also earn their own points and progress. This is the dream. I don't know what else to say. This is the dream. This is what this is what I want. It's a dream game, and it really deserves the praise. And so, yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know what happened to the whole Sony thing. I guess they own this or something, and they say it's on PlayStation, but I can't imagine playing this on PlayStation. Like, this is like a very much a shooter kind of game, and I've always associated that with like Xbox and things like that, and PC, but I can see why. Again, I can see why people love this game so much, because it's so fast-paced, it's so instantly gratifying. It has instant rewards, and it keeps you in the mix. And every time you do a mission, it could be maybe 10-20 minutes, and then the next you unlock some weapon or some cosmetic, and you're like, well, I really want to see what this feels like. So you start the next match and you unlock something else, and like it keep going, and like, okay, I see how this works. Also, there's a time limit on each mission, so it's like 30 minutes. If you run out of lives, you still get points. So even if you totally lose, you still retain some points. So again, it's a constant positive reinforcement. The whole super Earth, hyper democracy, Starship Troopers-esque aesthetic and theming of the game, they're definitely on point. That's definitely what it is. But I never really, how do I say this? I was never attracted to that or interested in that. I'm like, okay, cool. There's a million games that do that, but here it's like there, and it exists. I want to acknowledge it, and it's very funny, kind of satirical, and it's that satirical nature that I think really does lend itself to the multiplayer aesthetic, where I feel a lot of multiplayer games in the AAA space, they try to have this goofy, fun-loving, whatever vibe to it. And because of that, they kind of come off as disingenuous in a way that people think, oh, well, what's the point of, what's the, you're almost too goofy, too inauthentic. And this one is fully ironic, where they take that aesthetic of super dude bro shooter and just make it an entire parody of itself almost. I don't know. I just found it very funny, and I understood that kind of goofiness, when you take that super hyper patriotic aesthetic and do it over the top, that really works for this multiplayer setting, because it is a little bit silly, it is a little bit goofy, but it keeps that air of seriousness about it if you are into that as well. And they just struck the right balance in terms of the tone, I think, and it's really good for a multiplayer experience, is what I'm getting at. Where it has to be serious, but at the same time not too serious. It's it's ironic in a certain sense. But even on that point, it looks very cool. It looks great. The armor designs are really cool. Even for the base armor, they look amazing. And again, you have that basic experience that gets people into the game and gets them really, fixated into it. And you just very quickly learn all the intuitive controls. Again, I love taking out the little outposts. It feels like little bases in Battlefront that you take out and they don't respawn. You get points for it, and you can feel like to fully, perfectly, properly finish off the whole map. It feels really good because it feels like you totally conquered the battlefield. Another thing that's also really cool that I do have to bring up that this one game does do really differently is that there's a higher emphasis on D-pad inputs, and specifically these things called, I think they're called requisitions. And so essentially the way they work is that you will essentially hold down LB, and you have to put in a bunch of codes on the D-pad as if there's like some kind of keypad code you're always doing. And this is also a mini game when you go to like certain comms relay, certain objectives on the map. I had to bring up like Among Us, but it's kind of like that. You have to do these tasks in the game world to fulfill either side objectives or the main objectives, and they're always done with the D-pad. So you'll go to an interface and you'll input like 5 or 6 things with the D-pad, and that also counts for the player character. And so your requisitions are going to be things at the beginning like supply drops, heavy weapons drops, reinforcements, that kind of thing. But then at the same token, at the same time, you're going to get these things called orbital strikes and laser strikes, and there's these ridiculous over-the-top payload bombardments. Like, this is a dream game. Like, this is so cool where you can just call in this massive explosion and completely wipe out yourself and your team if you're not careful. This is just a really fun, well-made, explosive, stupid, over-the-top game that is just very fun to play. And so, every time you return to your ship and you have a little cinematic that plays and it shows you, coming back. And again, I think again, when I was talking about Fallout and New Vegas, it's about the level of seriousness, where it's a serious world with a bit of silliness. While most multiplayer games are a silly world with a bit of seriousness, this is definitely more in the Fallout 3 range, where it is a serious world, but there's also a bit of silliness where it just goes a little bit over the top. Even the whole tutorial level where you have to earn your cape, and you have this guy called General Brash who keeps you never see him, and he's probably on recording. He's like, "You're the best soldier I've ever seen. I've never seen someone, throw a grenade so elegantly," or something. Yeah. And again, I was playing this game. I had no context, just figuring out, oh wait, those exhaust things in the outpost, those look like a grenade goes in there because they're lighted up red. And so I would do that and would blow up, and I'd be like, and I got the points, like, oh, okay. So again, this game is very intuitive. It's very easy to play. It's very social, which I love. And, it's just it's very intuitive in a lot of ways, and it's just a lot of fun. I was playing in some campaign, honestly, where they were only robots, so I didn't actually get to fight too many bugs except in the tutorial, but it was still a ton of fun, and it's just really good. This is like Battlefield 2, or Battlefront 2 rather, like the original one, not new ones by EA. Those ones suck. This feels like a proper Battlefield all-out war experience with you and your buddies, and I kind of wish it was on Xbox, but it being on PC is fine. Again, I just can't see myself playing this on PlayStation. It just feels kind of weird or wrong. It's just totally the wrong tone. And then you have to link your profile, but then I also didn't actually have to do that. It suggested that I do it, but then I didn't have to. So I was like, I don't know. Okay, all right. But yeah, absolutely fantastic game. The reload system is a little bit weird. I've seen this in games like not Lost Planet, but something like that, where when you reload, you lose all of your clip, and so it'll show you how many numbers of clips you have, like 8 or something. So if you shoot 2 bullets and reload for each clip, you'll waste all that ammunition, which is, I guess, technically more realistic, but it is kind of interesting that they went with that kind of reload or ammo style. Again, I love the way the physics work. Your cape's always blowing in the wind. It aesthetically looks amazing. Like, this is the game that PC gamers have been asking for a decade, I would say. Like, this is the game that people have wanted for a long time. That should have come out years ago. And this was, and then until Sony, this could have been one of the main reasons to buy a PC. Like, this was, in my opinion, a PC game because the graphics are amazing, the combat is amazing, it's intuitive, fun, and it flows. And what I love is it doesn't waste your time with a bunch of menus and options and subscreens. It just gets right to the action. And as soon as you're out of the action, you want to be back in the action. And like, it's very simple. You go on your ship. There's an armory to customize your thing. And then there's the map to choose the stage. And then there's the deploy pod. Like, it's so simple and streamlined and intuitive. And it's all the little things that I see in other games that drive me crazy. And there's not even like a shop menu. That's the other thing I noticed. I mean, once you go to, like, I think when you're on the ship, you press a special menu and you can see all this stuff that you can buy for points or whatever. But they don't do the ugly shop menu thing. And so the interface, the everything is so intuitive. Oh, I forgot, you can also change, the abilities on your guns. So you can change like the RPM of your machine gun, the scope in your rifle, whatever. There's different weapons you get with points by doing objectives. This game is just really well made, really fun, and it's just fun to, the way that the characters react to the gunfire, just being in the beautiful environments. The weather changes were seamless. Like, all of the E3 jargon and stupid stuff you always hear about, we have a dynamic weather system. It's like, here you really feel it. Like, it started raining and I didn't even realize it because I was in the middle of combat. Then I realized, oh wait, those clouds came in and whatever. This is a real AAA game. Helldivers 2 feels like a quadruple A game, frankly. This is the real quadruple A experience that I expect from developers. It is, and it's streamlined and it's designed well. It's not just graphically and technically impressive. It is in a game design and game, level design and also whatever design level. It's just very well done, and it makes sense and everything. I mean, the explosions themselves, the debris goes flying everywhere, huge clouds, fire, everything. It's amazing. You can take over different turrets and whatever. You can call in drop pods for ammo, weapons. All the orbital bombardments are great, and they refill really quickly. It's like 5 minutes, and you can call in another strike that blows up the entire screen. So it's like a mixture of Mercenaries 2, World in Flames, and Battlefront 2. And with the social multiplayer aspect, it's like this game just came out of nowhere and it took the internet by storm, and for a very good reason. It is really fun and really well made, and this is one of the best multiplayer games I think I've ever played. Like, after playing this for a few days, I can say that hands down. I've played a lot. One of my favorites have been Bad Company 2, Battlefield Bad Company 2, even 2042. I really enjoy that. Star Wars Battlefront 2, COD Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 1 to a lesser extent, and Helldivers 2. All the two. So Bad Company 2, Modern Warfare 2, and Helldivers 2. They're all Battlefront 2. The twos. I don't know what it is, but the multiplayer games and sequels. And I think of like Soul Calibur now, and certain other fighting series where I'm just always in the two. And Street Fighter, I'm always in the odd ones. I'm always in, I like Street Fighter 3 and 5. I don't think I like 5. It doesn't matter. But Soul Calibur 2, 4, and 6. Anyway, I'm just rambling now because I really like this game, and I really hope it comes to more platforms. I don't know if they could get this to run on a Switch. I think this running on a Switch would be incredibly funny. It would have to have but I think the attitude of the developers, like, they're okay with having a serious universe and then making it a joke a little bit at the end of the day. And so I feel like there could be a way that they would do like a chibi version of Helldivers 2 for the Switch. I think that would actually work, or they would actually try to do something like that. It'd be so funny. And I think that is what Helldivers 2 is. It's how do I explain this? It's it's an emphasis on truth and design and graphics and all these technical checkboxes that PC players expect that games to have the best output, the best optimization, blah blah blah. But it also has that coy, snarky, love-based humor that allows it to become something more than just this shooter. It has a sense of humor and irony and fun about it. It's about fun, and it's about creating that map for a fun game, and to have it on this scale, on a massive multiplayer experience. Like, these games come around, I would say, once a decade, and I think this is one of them. There's so many multiplayer games that are forcing itself on the player, and they just fail in so many different ways. Like, think of all the Smash Brother clones, all of the Call of Duty clones, all of the whatever clones. So not only is this a really great multiplayer experience, but it's also very different and distinct and defined. And even if they make a Helldivers 3, it's not going to be the same. Same thing with, Tribes Ascend, even Halo 2, just so many multiplayer games that just have their certain place in time. Even Splatoon, it's not a great multiplayer game, but I think it had its moments. But Helldivers 2 is and it also combines the whole Halo aesthetic, like this whole, I swear that. And also Gears of War. Sorry, I mean the whole point of Helldivers, it's basically the ODST from Halo combined with the somewhat ironic feeling of like Gears of War or Carmine. I swear to God that one of the voices for the characters you can choose is like Carmine. Also, they don't have any weird political propaganda, gender, and anything Californian in it. There's nothing about this game that screams, oh, this was made by a team of love and diversity, and sort of all the modern whatever. It feels like this was made in its own little bubble, and that's why I love it. And that's why I love gaming in general, is that it's okay to be different. It's okay to have a completely different philosophy or outlook on life, and just make something hyper masculine but also hyper ironic at the same time, and just have this stupid space parody opera thing going on. I love it. It's mostly serious and slightly silly, only in the perfect way that a game should be. And I think people really need to. I wish people could try a demo or just try it out just to understand and see all the design principles. Because I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, man, if I was the developer, what could I do to make it more streamlined or better? And honestly, I can't think of anything. Very few things. Maybe less text on certain info things on the screen. There's even one info screen, just to give you an example of what this game's tone is like. There's one screen where it was like, the tips when the map is loading, where, did you realize that loading screens have tips on them? That kind of meta irony or whatever. Something that you'd expect in a game that, a lot of parody games that aren't very good, that are kind of, talking about the medium and in a meta kind of general sense. They tend to use that to make up for the lack of gameplay, but this has the gameplay and the humor in it. It is just amazing. This is a godsend. This feels like a game from 2005 or 2006 that is just perfectly situated right now, and everyone should go and play it because it's really, really, really fun. It's not really good, it's really fun. So if you're playing alone or with friends, even better, or even with strangers, it is just a fantastic game. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. I hope more people get to play it, because it is absolutely worth $50, $60, $70. This game is honestly quality gameplay, quality design. It is amazing, and I love it. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for this one. Nothing but praise. An actually good game in the modern age. That's it. I'll see you later. Bye.